に使命をかけて燃える街にあとわずか届く叫びを耳にして帰ってきたぞ帰ってきたぞウルトラマン十字を組んで狙った敵は必殺技の贈り物大地を飛んで流星パンチ近くに立ってウルトラチョップ凶悪怪獣倒すため帰ってきたぞ帰ってきたぞウルトラマン
Hello, you are listening to Ultra Q, episode 42. My name is Red. I'm joined by Mel.
Hello.
And I'm joined by Razan.
Folks, this is American Prometheus with a special report. Government is starting to use gay paint to paint anyone trying to stay off the grid. This is just unacceptable.
I can't believe he's back.
He's back. The fucking
I think you got the
paint.
voice different.
It's definitely going a little more Alex Jones. I mean, it's appropriate with the making the frogs gay.
I'll be honest, this bit changes every time because I don't remember what I did last time.
Coming up, we've got gay paint, we've got Showdown at the Dynamite Factory, and we've got Minami, the homie.
Yeah.
But before any of that, let's just catch up a little. I watched a movie, a 1 hour movie. It was called 5 centimeters per second. I have never watched a Shinkai movie in my life. Now.
Oh, you should have remained pure.
Now, in our circles, Shinkai, not as highly rated as he is in the mainstream.
No.
Much derided, in fact.
I think applies to Miyazaki as well, which is probably why people conflate the two.
Yeah, the Venn diagram here of Miyazaki haters and Shinkai haters is a like small group of people who are very right. Probably I haven't watched enough Miyazaki movies, but I enjoy being a hater nonetheless. So I'll join in. I'm like rubbernecking on the Miyazaki thing. I'm like going, oh, we clowning on this guy. I just throw a stone, move on. But yeah, I never watched Shinkai, but I figured like they're gonna be like normie good. They're gonna be like perfectly fine movie, right? It's not gonna be like anything exciting. It's gonna be like, oh, this shit's so overrated, or it's like got some like insidious like themes or whatever, and that's my problem. That's gonna be my problem with it. I'm nonetheless gonna have like a perfectly fine time watching it. That was terrible. 5 centimeters per second was a terrible movie. I hated it. It's got 3 named characters. They're not characters. There's a boy, there's a girl, and there's a girl. And that's it. That's all they get. It's got ridiculous... I went and I looked up this movie up afterwards to see what people who liked it said about it, and they talked about how it's like a really like down to earth and examination. It's like down to like one of the most one of the like central like weird metaphors in the movie is when fucking NASA launches a rocket into space. As like a metaphor for loneliness. I was, what's happening here, bro? What are you doing?
What do they mean by this?
What did they mean by this? Not like 20 minutes into the movie they wrap up the first part. The first part was the bit that I was like, yeah, this is fine. This is perfectly fine. Like, this isn't anything special, but it's perfectly fine. It's like two characters who live far apart and want to meet. And the kid catches, this is like the 90s. They don't have like mobiles. And so he catches a train, but it starts snowing, and the train gets increasingly later and later and later, and it sucks. And let me tell you, as a victim of British railway companies, yes, that same, bro, same. It sucks like that. It sucks like that. Yeah, the first part was fine, and then the second part opened on like the image of the couple that will never meet again. It's like looking out on like a huge, like they're looking at Earth from the moon or something, and and then the second part is called Cosmonaut. I'm like, okay, well, this movie's either going somewhere or being silly. It was being silly. Also the boy sucks, and he's got like multiple girls falling so in love with him it ruins their life. And I was like, no, they don't. No, he doesn't. Shut up. And then it is theoretically a movie with a perfectly fine idea, which is, bro, get over the girl that you were into when you were a teenager. That's not happening. People change and move on. Please move on. But it's just so it's so empty. It's like the weirdest empty movie ever. I don't understand why it blew up so big. No idea.
Maybe Tomino was right.
Maybe.
He is the most right he's ever been when he talked about Shinkai movies. Worded in the most off-putting way possible, but he was kind of spitting.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to be fair, I'm a Shinkai hater. I've only seen Your Name and Weathering with You. I fucking hate both those movies so much.
I've only seen Your Name, and it was whatever.
I'm gonna watch Your Name, and I expect that I will have a perfectly fine time. Like, it won't.
You don't have to do
it
that.
won't be. I know I want to, because I feel like I have to understand why these are a big deal, even if I don't like them. And it's a movie. Also, it would, I have to be kind of nice to my friend who really likes Shinkai movies. I'm gonna watch that one at least, and maybe Weathering with You, because it sounds bizarre. I have to watch the chair one. I have to watch the one where she kisses a chair. I have to watch Suzume. I don't care. I have to watch that movie. Chair romance. It's real.
This chair.
Oh man, put Shiki in that movie. He murders her boyfriend. But yeah, that's me. I'm done. I don't have the movie's bad, terrible.
Well,
I microwave popcorn for it. It was waste.
I have a perfect segue.
No, wait. As I said yesterday in the chat, I did time you talking about this so I could measure the amount of centimeters this segment was.
Okay. How many centimeters?
Is 1,900, so that's about like 19 meters.
Nice.
It's taller than the Gundam. I hate that I know that. That's disgusting.
I don't know that.
I also knew that the Gundam was 18 meters tall.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
This is one of my primary... I don't know anything about the heights of any of the other Gundams, but I know that the original Gundam is 18 meters tall.
The new and the Sazabi are about 25.
Damn. Big boys.
Okay.
No, for some reason, I have the RX-78-2 and the news size down, and they're like my measuring sticks anytime I hear another mecha's height.
I see.
I go, oh, okay. But I have a perfect segue because I saw a Miyazaki movie in theaters
Oh, yeah.
a few nights ago.
How was that?
The Boy and the Hero. So
The Hero?
I'm not a Miyazaki. What?
The Hero?
Heron.
Oh, okay. I'm
It's
sorry.
Heron.
I would have pronounced that Heron, but
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, probably.
I guess this might be I had never heard of this alternate pronunciation. It might be real.
I could just be dumb. It's fine.
Speaking of Shiki, your mother.
True. So I'm not a Miyazaki hater. I'm kind of just, I feel like we've talked about him before
Probably.
on this podcast, but like I'm kind of indifferent to a lot of his stuff. I like some of his stuff quite a bit. Like I have a fondness for Howl's Moving Castle, despite thinking that it's kind of weird how he just was like, okay, I'm gonna adapt this childhood classic book, but no, we need something about the Iraq War in here. Transforms into a bird. It's fine. I don't know. I still like that movie quite a bit. I like Nausicaa a lot. And you know, like Spirited Away is pretty fun too, but like a lot of his stuff, I'm just kind of like whatever. Similar to your thing with you have the Shinkai friend. The other night I was explaining, I'm like, yeah, I don't actually think Princess Mononoke is that good, and got like obliterated in a chat I was in. I don't think that movie is that special. But yeah, so this is another one of Miyazaki's I'm retiring, actually I'm not fun-filled adventures. He
did in fact say he's not retiring after this movie came out.
Yeah. That honestly, I respect him for being this quick. That being said, I'm not going to say too much because, you know, people still probably obviously want to see this. Not everyone's going to be able to go see it out in theaters. There's points towards the end of this movie that is like, gave me the same vibe as when like your grandma hugs you a little bit too long when you're out the door, and it's like, you know something I don't. What's happening here?
Well, I was gonna say, he's 82 and he's been working in the anime industry all his life. I'm gonna be real, bro. You're retiring. You don't get a choice.
This movie feels, I don't want to say like a greatest hits of of all of his stuff that came before, but it absolutely has things that are supposed to be echoing little moments and elements of his style. There is a character towards the end that is an old man who is just obviously a stand-in for him, talking about like creating things and holding things off, you know, trying to make something and hoping that the future generations of children to come like do right by it, and like the future's in your hands, like sort of that sort of thing is definitely happening here. I'll give the briefest of like quick summaries, because also too, something worth note, they were very like almost no marketing or anything for this movie. Like for the longest time we just had a poster and one was out, and like I think like the cast, and that was about it. So I'll try to not say too much for people that want that experience. Personally, I had no idea what this
Robert Pattinson saying your mother in a weird voice.
Yes. I had like no real knowledge of what this was, even like I didn't see anything before I went, and I was just like, yeah, I might as well see this in theaters. So this is the story about a boy growing up with his dad in World War II Japan. At the start of the movie, very first scene, they wake up, there's been a bombing, his mother has been sick and at the hospital. The hospital his mother's in has been bombed, and by the time they get there, it's just on fire. There's nothing that anyone can do. Nobody in that thing's getting saved. Cuts to a little bit later. His dad decides, well, son, your mom's dead, but your mother's sister isn't. I'm gonna get her pregnant, and we're gonna get married.
Huh?
What?
Boy has some feelings about this.
I would too.
Yeah, it's just like, well, he also specifically, it's like, oh, like you could just tell, like he does not want to call his aunt mom now. Like it's a very uncomfortable transition for him. But his dad got a job at a factory, but he's gonna have to like live in the city while he goes to live with his aunt slash new mom out in the woods with like a bunch of like old women who like, you know, classic like Ghibli style like crone type like archetype or whatever. They're all great. And I guess, like, I don't want to say too much, but surrealist stuff starts to happen from there. There's an old abandoned tower in the woods, and Heron, who, if I pronounce that the way you... I'm self-conscious about this.
Listen, you know, it might just be pronounced that way in America. I don't fucking know.
It might. I'm gonna look, because this is bothering me now, and to be honest... Yeah, Heron. Okay. So, this Heron shows up, and at first it's just like, okay, this is a bird that seems to be a little too close to me. And then, you know, as things are wont to do in Miyazaki, it gets a little bit more magical. This boy gets tied up in an adventure that I don't want to say too much about because I think it's better just seeing it. But what I will say about this movie is that this movie is in a lot of ways about motherhood and moms, and I feel like really suffers because towards the end of the movie, when characters actually have to start to say really dramatic, impactful, meaningful things about the themes of the work, I just don't feel like they've been given enough time to speak or be their own character outside of our protagonist to really make it resonate with me emotionally. I feel like there's a lot of characters in this movie, unfortunately, outside of the protagonist who I am told to care about because of who they are in terms of like their societal or familial role. And I just don't quite think they get the room to really be their own individual person enough for me to actually really feel for them when they start to, you know, talk about what they believe in or what they want out of life. And that was kind of a bummer for me. But outside of that, I actually do think the moment-to-moment, like, fantasy adventure of this was very pretty, very evocative. I do think it's Miyazaki revisiting a bunch of ideas that he's done before. I'm not gonna lie, this really does feel like a one last hurrah, like, fuck it, let's do this one last time thing, and I'm just like, are you sure you're coming back after this? I thought it was solid, but also, too, like, I wouldn't even say I don't think this is even in my top 10 of his work. I don't think this is one I'm gonna go back to a lot, but I think it's perfectly fine if I had to come down on it one way. There was nothing that I found like absolutely like terrible about it, I would say. It just kind of came and went for me, and I was just like, okay, yeah, that was fun. I do think, and I hate to be this person, but like seeing this so close to Godzilla -1, I kind of was like, well, I just saw this other movie about like dealing with like the weight of World War II on a family, and I feel like one of these did it a lot more interestingly than the other. But they're just going for completely different things. Like World War II is such a background element past the beginning part of this film. Like it definitely informs some of the stuff going on. Like there's a bit where a bunch of the old women are like, "What do you mean you can still get cigarettes? Holy shit, give me some smokes." And stuff like that. But
don't get those, they're Metrons.
It's space opium.
But yeah, overall, fun time. If you're a fan of Miyazaki's work, I think it's worth seeing this in the theater. I've heard the dub is really fucking good. But I saw it subbed, and I had a good time. So,
a final verdict. Which is better for the mom themes, this or Victory Gundam?
I'm gonna say Victory.
Yes.
Victory makes me cringe a little bit when they say certain things, or like, you know, when they're about to jump a bunch of guards and one of the guys just turns to the woman in the group and goes, "You're gonna bear my child one day."
Uso also
very
hates
irritating.
it though.
One of my favorite screenshots from that show.
Yeah. But yeah, that was that. More I had more fun with the next 2 episodes of The Curse that me and my group of friends watched. I don't want to say too much about this, but I will say last time I think I discussed that this one seems to be landing a bit more divisively. Like, even in my own group of friends, like, half of us really loving this and the other half wasn't quite sold when we watched the first 2 episodes. Episodes 3 and 4 won most people in my group of friends over, I would say. I am convinced because of this that Nathan Fielder uses Twitter more than you could possibly imagine. Not because of any specific references or anything, but it's just such an incisive, like... It is such an incisive look and portrayal at different types of people in the 2020s. And kind of just a look at the culture and kind of where we're at with things like reality TV shows and people that are trying to do the right thing but cannot bring themselves to care about, you know, things like building sustainable housing or attempting to, you know, give back to communities without thinking of broader implications, or if anything that they're doing actually has a meaningful material benefit to people, or if they're just doing it to make themselves feel better. There's a scene in episode 3 where Nathan Fielder and Emma Stone get into, like, an honest-to-God, like, couple argument over a misunderstanding. And I've never heard Nathan Fielder sound more angry or close to tears in my life, and it made me uncomfortable. That man can act when he needs to. But yeah, overall still a pretty good time. What also was a pretty good time is me and my friends stumbled onto the new, like, streamer game of the moment, Lethal Company. Do either of you know about this game?
I do know about
I'm
Lethal
aware
Company.
it exists, but I don't know anything about it.
I've watched some streams.
Okay. So for Mel and anyone else listening who hasn't given this a look yet, it's kind of... I would describe it as kind of in that same genre of collaborative multiplayer experience with limited communication as something like Phasmophobia, where you and then up to three friends go to different planets that have these abandoned science bases on them. And you have to go in and collect a bunch of scrap and parts and stuff like that. You have proximity-based chat, so if you want to talk long-term, you need to buy some walkie-talkies and have them on and charged. You also have flashlights. It's dark inside those science bases or after night falls on the planet. And the battery times on these things leave a lot to be desired, and you have to go all the way back to your ship to charge them back up if you start to run low. So what you're basically doing is you're landing, you need to track down where this base is. Sometimes it's kind of close, sometimes you wish it was a little bit closer. There are monsters and bees and giants and all sorts of terrible creatures out on the planet's surface, but then also when you get inside, it's crawling with like spiders and gross bugs and a lot of ways to get yourself killed, not a lot of ways to defend yourself. And then you're like just grabbing whatever you can to haul it back to the ship with your limited inventory space so that you can meet a profit quota. And if you don't meet your profit quota, you get ejected out into space and lose and have to restart your run. Had a really fun time. Had this wonderful experience where we finally had enough money to get walkie-talkies. So your ship has also, too, it should be noted, like, your ship has a mini-map. So what you can do is that you can have 3 people go out into the base and then one person acting as, like, a spotter because they can see, like, enemy pings and also the location of different valuables on the ship. So I had the wonderful experience of being back on the ship, being on a walkie-talkie, trying to direct 3 of my friends to go, like, grab stuff, try to provide directions as best I can with the limited info I have on the map, and also them walking around in the dark, hearing screams as one of them gets dragged away by monsters and eaten, seeing one of them completely go dark on the map as they fell off a cliff. Then my friend Marie was the sole survivor and just grabbed whatever she could, grabbed the walkie-talkie, and she was like, okay, I'm out, just like try to direct me back to the ship. And like I'm giving her best directions as possible as she's out of the base and walking back, and then I just see this giant massive red like following her on the map, and I'm like, there's like a giant massive monster behind you, and she's like, I don't see it, and I'm like, I don't fucking know what to tell you, just get back here. And then more and more like distressing communication between me and her, and then suddenly just hear and then just see the blip go like irresponsive, and I'm like, well, I guess everyone's dead. I would just leave. Really fun game. I highly recommend it if you have people to play it with. It's cheap. Right now, we need to play more, because there's definitely stuff we haven't seen yet, because there's different difficulty tiers of planets that we haven't gotten all the way through. But it does sound like this game kind of has, like, the Among Us or the Phasmophobia thing, where it kind of seems like the developers made this, and they weren't really expecting to be the new massive hit game. So there's not really, like, an ending. You just play till you die. But I have seen people being kind of frustrated, because apparently, if you're really good and you get really far, you just get to a point where your profit quota increases to a point where there is literally not enough loot on the planets you go to actually meet it, and you just die. So it kind of just feels like it doesn't have, like, a true, like, end or, like, true final, like, challenge. You just kind of, like, the random seed of the game just kind of fucks you over at some point, and that doesn't feel super satisfying, apparently. And there's only so many, like, enemy types and whatnot so far, so hopefully they keep updating this thing and adding some more stuff and just a little bit more variety. One thing that me and my friends were talking about, too, is, like, it feels like there's actually quite a bit of variety in terms of, like, the planets, but all of the science bases feel kind of the same. Like, there's a few different types of rooms, but they all look pretty identical, and, like, after a bit it's just like, like, you know, all these science bases, you kind of start to get a feel for what they look like and how they act, and it'd be kind of cool to see them add a few more, like, tile sets or whatever for that sort of thing. But yeah, neat game. Having a blast with it so far.
All right. I don't know why we got quiet there for a second.
You know, you just have to think about the lethality of that company.
That's all companies.
Wait, was I muted?
I think you were.
Okay, oops. Yeah, I said, all right. Have you been up to anything, Mal?
Yeah, I'm studying for exams.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm dying.
Don't die.
Good luck. Hang in there. Don't die. So, shall we move on to Ultraman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
We got crimes to discuss.
We do got crimes to discuss. So, wait, do we? Crimes?
Yeah. What?
I kind of feel like this first episode is a little crime adjacent.
Okay. Well, let's see. In episode 7, Operation Monster Rainbow, Cowboy Go is on a hike in the mountains with the Sakata family. He's got the jeans. He's got the cowboy hat. He's looking great. He's in the cowboy club from Ultra 7.
Yeah.
Jiro takes a photo of Go and Aki, but when the picture is developed, there's a kaiju visible between Go and Aki. Ken thinks it's a pretty funny metaphor, but Aki is mad at Jiro for editing the picture. Jiro insists, I didn't edit it, so there must have really been a kaiju in the background. The MAT investigate the site of the photo, but while they find a couple of suspicious things, they can't find any conclusive evidence of a kaiju. Go investigates on his own, promising Jiro he'll prove the photo is real. At night, Go comes across a camp where a bunch of youths are having a party. They're acting like it's the first episode of Ultraman. Go tells them it's dangerous around here, and he is ignored until the kaiju appears. Only its eyes are visible, and it breathes fire. Everyone flees. The next day, the MAT decides the next day, the team decides on a plan to fight this invisible kaiju. They'll attack during the day, as it's nocturnal, and they'll spray it with rainbow paint, and then it won't be able to camouflage itself. This is Operation Monster Rainbow. This plan goes mostly well, but then they have to actually destroy the kaiju, and they're lacking in firepower. Luckily, Go's jet gets hit, and he has an excuse to turn into Ultraman. He defeats the kaiju, and then in a moment that we will see repeated like across these episodes, the team mourns Go until he stumbles out of the wreckage just fine and is like, yo, hey, I'm good. What happened? And the captain is like overjoyed and emotional. The end.
He's like, that rapscallion always surviving.
This
This monster is just hanging out in the woods.
He's just hanging out. I guess this monster is just hanging out.
I know that campers getting attacked by a wild animal would be like reason for like a wildlife organization in real life to go like, okay, maybe we should move this thing somewhere else. But like, they just kind of show up. They're like, oh, there's a little fucking chameleon man in the woods. Let's go blow him up.
I guess they do that.
Yeah. There's no reason to kill this guy, except for that we need to kill a monster this week.
Mm-hmm. He's hanging out. He's like the ghosts in Paranoia Agent. He's just sneaking into photos and giving people a shock. He's like, boo.
You know that famous like, this might be too deep in the woods for me to, but you know that photo that was taken like I think Australia where it looks like there's like a weird spaceman like alien thing in the background. That like picnic photo reminded me of that.
I might know that photo. I might not. I couldn't say. But
here I'll find it and post it in chat.
Yeah.
The Cumberland Spaceman.
Cumberland Spaceman. I'm looking at the Cumberland Spaceman.
Here, I'll post a... I'm 95% sure this got debunked as, like, there's, like, a normal-ass explanation for this.
It does just look like a person.
Yeah, famous photo.
Okay. I think the explanation is that there is a person in the background.
Probably.
And the photo is fuzzy enough that people go, "Oh, is that an alien?" And I go, "No." What are you talking about?
It's the Starman from Earthbound.
Oh yeah, apparently it was the guy's wife in a blue dress, but due to overexposure, it turned out looking like a spacesuit.
It does not. It looks like clothes. It does not look like a spacesuit. I'm like, I might have said this on the podcast before. I am absolutely personality quiz. I'm like personality type. Yes, this does look like that. I am absolutely the first person to die in a horror movie every time because I absolutely do not believe in any of it. I would be the person who's everyone is screaming at because they're being so annoying about saying like, well, ghosts aren't real. Well, vampires aren't real. Like, I could, be getting torn apart by a werewolf. And I'm like, that's, it's a hairy guy. It's, that is clothes. Anyway, this episode of Ultraman Return of Ultraman, is fun. I did like this batch this week. I figured there would be a little capstone on this episode with Jiro finding out that his photo was absolutely real and him being happy about it. But no, we just skip that bit.
Yeah, they didn't tell him later.
Yeah. Also funny bit in this episode, you see Jiro having fun with his camera, doing like kaiju fights in with his friends.
Yes.
Leading to the incredibly bizarre moment of this technically being the first Godzilla Ultra Series crossover as Baragon fights Red King.
Oh my god.
Oh.
That's sick. That's hilarious.
It's funny because he said Baragon and I was like, I don't remember that one, but I know that name. And I didn't look into it, so that is funny.
Yeah, it's just the Toho Kaiju Baragon for some reason.
That's pretty good.
Which now begs the question, did Godzilla happen in this universe, or is Godzilla a TV show in this universe?
Ooh.
Or a film series in this universe?
It's like
it's a documentary.
It's like when the zombie movie, it's like a zombie show where like people have seen zombie movies, so they call it zombie instead of something else, and that's why they call them kaiju in this show.
I just think like directing something like Godzilla in a world where kaiju attacks actually happen feels a little fucked up. It's just mean-spirited at that point.
Plus, you gotta.
It's the thing is, it's instead of like being a nuclear metaphor, it's just like this is based on real
true
events.
crime.
I should watch Nadesco.
I should also watch Nadesco.
Same.
The I like that increasingly we are seeing that the team gets shit done. Like you know, they needed to spray it with the rainbow paint in order for Ultraman to beat it. I guess.
Yeah.
But you know, I like the sitting around a table arguing over what the plan is going to be. That's good shit. I like that.
I do like the arguing specifically.
Yes. Kishida continues to be the guy who is most ready to say, this fucking go guy. I do not like you.
It's funny because this episode ends, I think, with him being like the nicest he's ever been to go.
Yeah.
Where he's like, oh, thank you for saving us.
And he's also like, at some point when the kaiju is revealed to be real, Kishida's like, I was mean to that little kid. I really chewed that guy out, that little guy. Damn. I should apologize.
I do think that how dysfunctional this group is makes me... This feels... The group dynamic of Matt makes it feel so close to an actual workplace.
Yes.
It kind of hurts sometimes, but I love it for that. Like, it allows me to feel... Like, I feel more attached. I guess I don't want to say attached, because I do like I like the Blazer people more, but in terms of feeling like, oh, this is a job for these people, and they all have responsibilities, and not everyone sees eye to eye, and shit gets complicated sometimes. I do genuinely think that this group dynamic is landing for me in a way that the previous shows have not.
Yeah. I hope that we get the workplace comedy Ultra series, as well as the one where everyone is just the Don brothers.
I simply like it when there are two guys on the team who just don't like each other, and it's never really resolved. Coincidentally, so far, JoJo Part 4, my favorite part of JoJo.
JoJo Part 4 is my favorite part.
It's pretty good.
Also, you'd enjoy a good chunk of Jetman, I feel.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, just having a Josuke and Rohan on the team is good. Just, you know,
like that's the thing that made like Jetman unique and stand out, is just like, oh, guy just hates the protagonist.
Fantastic. The actual kaiju itself is a little unremarkable.
He's kind of Gorgas tier, but also like better.
There is one shot when right before I believe he attacks the campers, there's, I think, a kind of neat shot where it's just his eyes peering out from the darkness, and I thought that was neat, but then the more we get of him, it's like, oh, he's kind of whatever.
Yes.
Okay. Fun fact. I say he's Gorgas-like, but his name is Gorpagos, so you know.
Oh
really,
shit, they're cousins.
Real the levels of names we're dealing with here.
The shots at night are really good. I think that's pretty effective stuff. I guess making him look more pathetic in the daylight is kind of deliberate to an extent, because, you know, he's less of a threat. But this kaiju is slightly undermined by the fact that a similar type of kaiju is in the next episode, and also, if you take off the weird fringes, it's also in the third episode today.
I think so far we have less classic guys in this show so far.
Yeah.
I can think of like two that really stand out of what we've seen. They're like, oh yeah, that's a classic guy.
Yeah, so far I think that's been like the weakest point of the show, but like, you know, otherwise, it's hitting on all cylinders. It's good stuff.
We're still like,
we're only like,
I'm not gonna do the math actually.
We are less than a fifth in.
Yeah, next week will be like a quarter in. So. You just fucked up, but anyway.
Yeah, it's so weird.
We
go through at a decent
3
pace.
episodes a week.
Yeah.
We get through shit.
Yeah.
do we have anything more to say about this episode?
I do kind of like the kaiju does look more fun when it's painted.
It does.
Yes, I agree.
Yes. Painting the kaiju bright rainbow colors and then beating it up. Ultraman, new Ultraman confirmed homophobic. You know,
He is Catholic.
he is Catholic, and you know, Go is already a misogynist. We got you know, our heroic bigot. It is what it is.
Yeah, needs to be said, because this joke was cut out of our Ultraman episode. Like, Go tells a woman in uniform, "I'll take care of this" as a civilian, and then dies.
Yes.
And then his misogyny
Immediately.
Gets revived.
It's pretty good. It's so stupid. Especially because he fucks up so much. For all of being a superhero. Speaking of him fucking up so much, shall we talk about episode 8 of Return of Ultraman?
Yeah, big oops this time.
Yeah,
for our boy Go.
The monster time bomb. This is one time, you know, Team Kishida, just for once.
Yeah.
A kaiju appears, but it's on the small side. And Go, Kishida, and Minami are like, lol, look at that little guy. I could take it with one hand behind my back.
It's so funny. However, we're just like, oh, that kaiju's a weenie. We can take it.
Yeah. Go volunteers to deal with the kaiju, and Kishida reveals himself to be our new Ide/Amagi when he suggests Go uses the new missile he's developed. Unfortunately, the kaiju has a surprising amount of firepower and really quick reflexes, and just when Go is going to launch the missile, he comes under fire. He launches it, but it skewers the kaiju's tail and doesn't explode. Back at base, the team review the footage that we've just seen, and we see that Go accidentally hits the timer button, so the missile will explode in 10 hours. That's probably fine, right? Right? Well, no, idiot. What if it goes to Tokyo, or maybe somewhere even worse, like a dynamite,
the Acme Dynamite factory.
a dynamite factory outside Tokyo. Go,
well known to carry enough dynamite to blow up the entire city.
I don't know that putting more dynamite in one place increases its area of effect. I think it's still just dynamite. I think it blows up louder and big. Like, you know, I don't know that it's bigger. Maybe it does the Minecraft thing where you blow up one dynamite and it throws the rest of the dynamite in like one of the 4 cardinal directions.
Yeah.
Anyway, Go and the captain do some judo, and Go keeps getting thrown, which is strange because he's so cool and awesome. And he figures out that his problem is overconfidence. And so he, you know, suddenly deciding, well, I'm going to actually put effort in, he throws the captain. You know,
The captain's so happy about it too. He's like,
instead of overconfidence, he's now got real confidence. And this is different.
And then they do
measurably for some reason.
Important martial arts scene.
Yes.
About guts.
The kaiju heads to a dynamite plant in the mountains with enough dynamite in it to destroy Tokyo. Once again, I'm not sure about the science on this, but we've forgiven the Ultra series before. Initial attempts to fend off the kaiju don't work, and the team have to come up with a plan. And Kishida suggests we'll shoot it with anesthetic from outside its visual range because it can't see very far.
It needs to be said. The kaiju does just plop down and sit casually in front of the dynamite.
Yes, it just crosses its legs.
Starts scratching its tummy a little bit.
Yeah, it's chilling. This one also innocent. Honestly, the monster attack. I guess they are called the monster attack team. It is their job. They see a monster, they attack.
On the fucking side, buddy.
Hey, you can't hang around here. You know who we are. We're the people who attack monsters as part of a team. Go thinks that attacking from outside its visual range is a bad idea because he thinks the kaiju has super hearing, and the captain's like, listen, you can't prove that. And so they put Kishida's plan into action. When the plan is put into action, Go saves the captain and Kishida by driving by with sirens blaring. He crashes the car, he crashes the car. The captain and everyone goes, no, Go again.
I do want to turn the clock back. I do want to turn the clock back a few seconds here to where everyone walks out of the office after Go raises, like, hey, I think he has super hearing. And then we cut to Go's internal monologue where he lists out all the evidence for why he believes it has super hearing that he did not voice while everyone was still in the room. And then he goes, I'm going to go do my own plan.
Yeah.
See, I don't have...
He had the ideas,
I don't have overconfidence anymore, guys. Now I've just got confidence. That's hero shit.
Then he hot rods his Jeep.
Yep. He crashes.
A lot of bros cruising these episodes of Return of Ultraman.
Wow. Wow. I wish there were
on.
bros cruising in Ultraman. He crashes the... Sorry, I've rewired my brain for a second. He crashes the car, turns into Ultraman, and then mentally processes This is the cool bit of this episode. He mentally processes the outcomes of all his possible attacks against this kaiju, and they all end in disaster except one. He pulls the Naruto versus Neji, he burrows underground, and then drills up underneath the kaiju, and then carries it into the sky and lets it explode in the atmosphere where it's safe. Go stumbles out of the wreckage and is like, yo, I'm fine, what happened? And the team is relieved, and Minami's like, I'm on time to go meet my mother. This was a subplot I didn't mention earlier. The end.
Well, to be fair, the show didn't mention it out there.
Yeah.
It's just like a throwaway line at the start of the episode.
Yeah, it's like, you're gonna go visit your mother, aren't you, Minami? And he's like, yeah, I am. And then it's not in the episode until the very end when the captain's like, oh, I'm so happy that Go isn't dead. Minami, thank him that you can go see your mother.
I guess like Furuhashi will also have to imagine Minami's conversation with his mom.
Minami, as of the next episode, I'm a Minami stan. I'm also into this captain. He's I think he's my favorite captain so far.
He's definitely more of a character than the past two.
Mm-hmm. He's having fun.
It probably helps that he's like actively being a mentor to Go.
Yes. And like we alluded to, it is nice that there is this thing where it's like, okay, people maybe don't listen to Go as much as they probably should, but also too, this episode, Captain's extremely justified in being like, oh, you fucked up.
Yes.
It's good. It is good. It is good that one of these parties is not always right and the other is not always wrong. There's a balancing act.
Sometimes it does feel like in the past episodes where like Go is right and no one listened to him, but he can't prove that he's right. But this time, it's him being a fuck up. I do want to say this episode is funny in like compared to the next episode, where we get to see like the two different sides of Go, where on one hand he's like cocky and this gets him into trouble, and whereas next episode is extremely him just like something happens that isn't really his fault but he feels really guilty about it, so he has to overdo it. Just like he swings between these two extremes with no middle ground.
Yeah, this is the consequence of thinking that you're a superhero. It's like overdeveloped sense of responsibility, but also overdeveloped confidence. Once again, this episode becoming part of my catalog of overconfidence is not a real thing. You're talking about confidence. This is it's all confident. It's all the same thing. He's overconfident at the end as well. It's just that he's right, and so it works. But yeah, I liked him Doctor Stranging it at the end there, and I like this kaiju just because not for design reasons, but because it's just chilling.
Behavioral.
Yes, he's hanging out.
It's pretty
And everyone
good.
keeps calling him tiny. It's like, come on, man. He's chilling. Leave the poor little guy alone.
Apparently, the suit for the kaiju was recycled from Armstrong, which is the dinosaur in the first episode.
Okay.
No,
So
That makes sense.
they cannibalized real quick.
Yeah, I mean, you said they didn't have like loads of budget at the beginning,
Yeah,
and then that.
I think in the production notes I said that there's gonna be like the really fancy two-parter. I think that's coming up soon. But hasn't
speaking
happened
of production notes, I just realized we didn't cover it for
Oh,
episode 7.
yeah,
I got
we
some
sure
stuff
did.
for 8.
Shit. Let's do that now.
Episode 7, directed by Ishiro Honda and written by Shozo Uehara.
Mm-hmm.
Last of the Uehara sweep at the beginning of the show.
Also, last of the Honda episodes, I think. Was it
yet.
first 7?
I didn't think he
Is
was
it?
gonna be on for multiple episodes.
I don't know. I guess we will see. Episode 8 was directed by Masanori Kake, who we've talked about. I believe that's the guy with the company president comedy series thing being his one other big thing outside of this. And then written by a newcomer, Shigemitsu Taguchi. Taguchi joined Tsuburaya back in '67, and he always wanted to be a writer, but then he was forced to work as an assistant director and a member of the special effects team. Every time Taguchi would ask, like, hey, can I, write? They were just like, we don't, we have too many writers already. We'll keep you in mind, but no. It wasn't until Return of Ultraman, where there was a need for new talent, and, a bunch of the older people had moved on, that he was invited to write. Though he began writing or wrote a little bit for one of those Ultra 7 episodes that just was not made. So Ultra 7 would have been Taguchi's debut, but it didn't.
Wait, while you're talking, I'm gonna go try and find what episode that was, because if it was one of the unmade episodes, I probably would have had a note of.
I believe it was one with Kinjo. I could be wrong though, but I think I saw his name attached.
Listen, do you know how little that narrows it down?
Yeah. He would go on to write more episodes for Ultraman Ace, and then we're going to need to keep this guy in mind because he is going to become the primary writer for both Ultraman Taro and Ultraman Leo moving forward.
Oh, that's
into the
fascinating.
future.
That's
Okay.
a big chunk of next year in the 2025.
Yes, and something I did see, apparently Taro, something interesting I saw is that Taro, he worked on as a full-time Tsuburaya Productions employee, and then Leo, he got let go but brought back on a freelance basis, and apparently he did all of Leo. He was the primary writer for Leo, but he was not technically a Tsuburaya Productions employee. It was all freelance, which is interesting.
Okay. I found the unmade episode of Ultra 7.
Which one was it?
He was going to write the one with the guy who comes back from the planet, but all his team died, and the team sends a ghost kaiju to take revenge on him.
Oh, okay.
That episode was one that was apparently included in a Tetsuo Kinjo script collection, but it was actually his script, not Kinjo's.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
For more of that, go listen to our Ultra 7 season.
Yeah. We got a lot of shit about fucking unmade episodes and bees, surprisingly.
Yeah. Where are the bees in Return to Ultra 7? We're on Ultraman. Ugh.
So Taguchi also wrote episodes for other shows, including Mirror Man, Jumborg Ace, Power to Armor Dorvac, which I have a fucking Blu-ray of somewhere over there.
I didn't know that existed.
Yeah. Queen Millennia, God Mars, and Army of the Apes, which is a Tsuburaya show that apparently was edited together into a crappy dubbed TV movie here in the States. And once Discord allows me to connect, I'm gonna send this picture of, because this is very fucking funny.
Yeah, that was a Tsuburaya show.
Yo!
Extremely. Yeah,
I have to watch this immediately.
This was a show that I guess a month or two ago, someone was like, "Oh, it's translated finally, a new Tsuburaya show's translated," and then within the next day, it was actually it was AI translated. False alarm.
No.
But yeah, it is. I was aware of this show as a Tsuburaya production.
I want to track down the shitty dubbed movie.
definitely not inspired by any American films released within striking distance.
Yeah.
He's got a Tommy gun.
Listen, they got an army now.
Hell fucking
Who
yeah.
can say what the apes are up to? Shocking twist tucked away at the end of his biography here. He now works as a game producer at Sega.
What?
Okay.
Yeah, he still does screenwriting from time to time. Weirdly enough, and also too, I found his fucking Facebook. I thought it'd be funny if I sent him a friend request. I didn't end up doing that. But
Don't do that.
I would not. That would be weird.
Do you know what games he made at Sega?
So here's the thing. This is what I'm going to talk about. So I bring up his Facebook because his Facebook still lists him as working at Sega. He is credited on like 2 games. One of them of note that I wrote down. I can't remember the other one, but it was like kind of like a whatever thing. But he was I want to say it was like specifically the producer or like the supervisor for the writing team on Roomania 203, which is a cult classic Japanese-only game for the Dreamcast that if you've looked into like weird, obscure Japanese-only releases, you like that are kind of more on the experimental side, you've probably seen reference to this once or twice. This is a game I've been waiting to get translated for a bit, but it is a game where you follow a man who is living kind of like a sad, lonely life, doesn't really leave his apartment much, and you act as a god who intervenes in his life to give him more meaning and to like make sure he's living life as best as he can. And I think it got a PS2 port as well, but it's like a really experimental, weird like narrative game where you're like, it was kind of notable because it's like you're not really given full access to this guy like control wise. You're just kind of nudging him along like a course in his life, which seems interesting.
Pac-Man 2: The New Adventures.
But yeah, that's all I had on our good friend Shigemitsu Taguchi. Seems like an interesting guy, and I'm sure someone whose work we will see a lot more of moving forward here.
Oh, yeah.
As we get into later seasons.
He'll be a sizable chunk of next year, apparently.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, do we have anything more to say about episode 8, Monster Time Bomb?
I think this was my favorite of the bunch this week.
It was good.
I think so.
It was good. I like the third one.
Also,
go ahead.
Just Oka sure is the girl in the headquarters.
Yes. She is just on the radio. She's not quite out there all the time.
I wouldn't say she's Fuji tier, but she's not like Ann tier.
It's difficult to be. It takes many episodes of L's to be Fuji tier.
Yeah.
There was that one time where she fell down a mountain. That I think was like the point where I was like, I'm gonna stop hoping.
And then they give us one single episode.
Yeah, one episode where it's her time to shine, and it's one of the good episodes of Ultraman. There aren't loads of those. All right, well, episode 9 of Return of Ultraman, Monster Island SOS. Go and Minami add the finishing touches to a model of an MAT jet as a gift for Jiro's... Is it his birthday? Or is it just a gift?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
It's his birthday, which is tomorrow. It's just...
Worth noting there's like a flashback kind of thing, but like... You know.
Yeah. It's just a shame Go can't give it to him himself because he has to fly a kaiju sonar to New York tomorrow. And Minami has been ordered not to because he has logged too many flight hours this week. Minami sneaks out early the next morning and takes the kaiju sonar on a flight to New York, leaving a note for Go to enjoy his day off with Jiro. The captain calls Minami and alternates between putting on a stern voice and reprimanding him and then turning to Aki and laughing and being like, this guy, you hear this guy? While Minami is trying to apologize.
Man, and I wish I worked under an organization where it's like, oh, you've been working too hard, so now we're gonna make sure you don't work for a month. Sounds ideal to me.
He's just when he's like, no, this week you've done too much. I'm keeping this guy's, he's on top of things. But this was the episode where I was like, this captain, I love this guy, where he's on the phone.
Yeah, it was a good moment.
He's on the phone to Minami, like, what do you think you're doing? And then turning to Oka and being like, lol. I called her Aki because that was the.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Wrong girl.
Oh dear. Maybe that's the kind of impact Oka's making. Oops.
There's only enough room in this show for one fleshed out female character.
Anyway, Minami crash lands on an island because of a storm, and it's at this point that Go calls the base on his day off so that he, Jiro, and Aki can all thank Minami together, and the boss is like, oh, yeah. He just crashed, and Go returns to the base and has to wait for jets to be ready so he can fly out to Minami. Meanwhile, Minami has been rescued by some researchers who are having kaiju problems. Minami locates the kaiju for them using the sonar, but his wound from the crash has become infected and he needs urgent treatment. Go grabs the required medicine and launches a jet that doesn't have enough fuel for a return journey. Go arrives on the island, fights the kaiju in the jet, and then runs out of fuel, which I think was a really funny way of getting him to crash.
Yes.
He turns into Ultraman and defeats the kaiju while the researchers treat Minami with the dropped-off medicine. With the kaiju defeated, Go, Minami, and the researchers stand on a mountain and watch the proper MAT rescue team arrive to pick them up. Minami thanks Go, and Go says, "Man, are you kidding? Thanks for the day off, bro." The homies. The end.
Even though it wasn't actually a day off, but
Yeah, it was. It was
became
the attempt that counts.
the spirit. Yeah.
Good episode.
Good episode.
Two things I want to highlight about the plane
Go for it.
stuff with Go. One, he's just like in his I need to overachieve to compensate for what happened to Minami. He's just like, can you guys like finish the plane faster? And the mechanic's like,
No.
no?
Yeah.
Bro, what are you talking about? But then apparently he like helps them, and he's like, oh damn.
We hit a new record for assembly, he even says.
Yeah. And second, well, one, Mamie got tetanus apparently, specifically. And then they're like, yeah, here's the serum. It's a giant barrel.
Yes.
Which
So much serum.
and then like they put it in the plane, and he's just like, you can use all your fuel. And then when the plane crashes, he's just like, he grabs the barrel
As
before
Ultraman.
he transforms. So and then he's like fights out the kaiju and like puts it down, so the researchers can get it. And by puts it down, I mean he just fucking drops it. He just rolls down the hill.
It's it's a haphazard plan. Thankfully it works and Minami doesn't die. Well done, Go.
Yeah. Also the last like 3 minutes of the episode, the island is definitely exploding.
Mm-hmm. It's like, yes, completely exploding. What is making it explode?
I just guess it's a volcanic activity or something.
Oh yeah, they're talking about it being like earthquakes and everything. This is true. This is true. Like I've said, I mean, my highlight of this episode is just the conversation on the radio when Minami's like, oh, I really don't want to talk to my boss because I know he's going to be really fucking mad that I've taken the jet out. And then the boss, he's not fucking mad. He's like, this is hilarious.
Yeah.
What a fucking, this jackass was like, I'm gonna give Go a day off. Look at this guy. Idiot.
Yeah, this episode really did wonders for like fleshing out both Captain and Minami, I feel.
Yeah, we got good characterization between them both. I'm glad we got like I think it's been a bit, for like only 9 episodes of the show, we haven't gotten like a character episode about anyone then Go, really.
Yeah.
No, but I still feel like everyone, like, you can...
Yeah.
We have enough for everyone, I feel. Like, it's pretty impressive.
I feel like Oka is just woman, but...
Well, yes, that is true.
Yeah,
it's nice to get, like, a bit
misogyny
more.
aside, which we have to do a lot this this series, unfortunately. Yeah, I think this team is working pretty well for me now. I remember first week I was like, Ueno, Minami, and Kishida are gonna have to differentiate themselves a lot, because I'm just like, I don't know who any of you are.
Thankfully, Kishida did a lot by just being the asshole of the
He
group.
hates Go so much.
Designated hater.
Designated hater. Oh god, that should. I want that to be my job. I would like that to be my job title.
Kishida every other week just giving the low tier god speech to Go.
Absolutely.
A completely lack of self awareness of the fact that he is a nepotism baby in the organization.
He's only there because he's got Uncle Kishida is the commander. Yeah.
Also, a couple more things I had.
Mm-hmm.
One, a few episodes ago, we found out that the Kishida's the commander was going to be like, careful, we're gonna disband Matt, and then we found out that Matt also has like a science branch in New York, and I'm like,
how are you gonna disband?
How many guys are in Matt? Yeah, who's getting disbanded? Like, how's this working? It's not like Scarred when it's like 5 guys in a warehouse.
Uncle Kishida.
We're unassembling all those helicopters.
Uncle Kishida is here to tell you that the city of Paris has been dissolved. It no longer exists.
Yeah, we don't know anything about where the headquarters for the DDF is. What is this one?
Maybe Paris died with AG.
No, hold on. Let me see. I don't know that we haven't got where the headquarters for the group is. I'm just trying to find out. Okay, TDO, the Terrestrial Defense Organization, is like the umbrella group, like the TDF last season. Okay. Also, how the fuck does this kaiju sonar work scientifically? Like,
don't ask questions.
Yeah.
This is dynamite factory levels. It's like it's sonar, so it's sending out.
You know what they're missing?
Yeah.
They're missing a Ichino Tani figure in the show to explain all of this to us in the most bullshit way possible.
Absolutely.
yeah.
That's what they're missing.
I will. What a king! When that whole like giant man thing was going down, and he was like, "I'm gonna hit my evil death ray. I'm just gonna hit this giant button here while you're having this emotional moment."
The wife is like, "No, it's okay. You can kill him."
God.
My favorite will still forever be when the mole goes under down. He's like, I don't know, hit the volcanic layer at some point and die probably, I guess.
I was like, I want to go home. I want to go home.
Somehow they hit the volcanic layer in this episode.
Yeah. Oh God,
That's
this is
true.
The kaiju. Go ahead.
Oh, I think what I was going to say is maybe in parallel to what you were about to say.
Oh, the kaiju this week has these fun little head tentacle things that Ultraman tears off, which is like the one like highlight of the fight this week, I think.
Yeah. I don't know why this kaiju has dreads. I think it looks kind of shit. I don't like this design. I think it's very stupid.
Yeah. It's yeah. I'm looking for things in the kaijus. It's not the highlight of this show so far. But yeah, the best like fight stuff this week was definitely the middle episode with the like coming up with like testing different moves in your brain. That was the fun bit, I think.
I think like I could go for like a weird plant guy. Like everything's been very dinosaur core for a little bit here, as I remember. A little bit more variety.
We need a bit more variety. Unfortunately, I think pretty sure the next episode is going to also be a dinosaur. For the next previews, anything. Also, do you want to know what the kaiju this week is named?
Yes.
This episode is named? Look in the chat.
Yay!
Oh, let's go!
That's fucking Dangar. Hell yeah! God, iconic moment from Zeta Gundam.
I do actually like there. I feel like there's a bit of a Oka characterization, like in the reading of Leaving the Lines way, where like Go wakes up in the morning and he's just like, okay, where's Minami? And she's like, oh yeah, he just went to New York without permission.
Yeah.
Very matter-of-factly.
Just like, that happened.
So, if she's like, her characterization is just being like the matter-of-fact, blunt girl, that's like fine. I just need a bit more scenes with her doing things.
Yeah.
It would be nice. I assume we'll get some stuff because Jiro has teased us with the fact that this is the classic, I guess is
Love triangle.
It's not quite a like Aki might get Frauboat, but Amuro does not actually hook up with Sailor, so it doesn't quite.
I'm curious if that goes anywhere, or if that was like something they felt like they needed to throw in for like the sake of that scene. Because I feel like we haven't even gotten that much.
I feel like there's a lot of things where like things just. So this episode and last episode, there's like some weirdness where I feel like there's a couple scenes where like it just never gets brought up again. Actually, all three of the episodes, stuff with Jiro specifically, because like. This episode, we get, like, they're at the picnic, and they're just hanging out, and, they're having a good time. And then there's, like, a scene where, like, they're gonna drink water, but, like, the water bottle doesn't have water in it. And then it goes, like, don't worry, I'll take care of this. And it goes down the entire mountain, and then fills it up at a river, and comes back, and it doesn't actually have anything to do with anything.
This was a completely, truly ridiculous moment in the episode where he's just like, oh yeah, I'll just grab some water just from the mountain. It's fine.
I feel like the only thing was just this Jiro could be like, oh, Aki, you're not gonna be a good wife that way. But also there's like the scene in like the last episode where like, which also felt a bit like scattershot, whereas like they're doing the evacuation of Tokyo. And then, like...
Jiro's, like...
Ken and Jiro's like... why are we evacuating? Go will just win. And then Ken's like, oh, listen, we need to get out of here so that Go won't worry about us when he's fighting. And then, like, Jiro's like, oh, I'll take care of Aki and Go's best flower. And then later in the episode, we get a scene where one of Jiro's friends is like, hey, one of my cousins is here, and... everyone in our family is blaming Matt for being bad at their job, not taking care of the kaiju.
Yeah, and then he's mad at Matt
and then Jiro's like
throws the flower onto the ground.
He smashes the
he throws the pin on the ground and also throws the flower for some reason.
Now that you mention this, I don't think there's a third scene in that episode.
No. That it doesn't go anywhere.
No,
that was
we just get a comment on Minami's mom or something.
This was the reason it did not come up in the summary at all, was because this did not get resolved, and so I completely forgot it happened. That's completely absurd.
Yeah,
because like there's just like a bunch of things where like Jiro exists, and then none of it gets resolved.
Because none of this is getting resolved, Jiro's gonna go fully Joker mode because he's like, I blame Matt. Also, Kishida was really mean to me about the photo and never said sorry.
See what happens is like Jiro gets Joker mode and he's like he gets in a skiing accident. And then he gets rescued by a punished Ide in a log cabin.
Hell yeah.
And then Jiro becomes the new Jamila.
Jiro, did you know around here there was once an innocent giant hairy kaiju? And we killed it. We killed it, Jiro.
Yeah, and that girl for that matter. That girl just died.
And that girl. We killed them both. It was our fault. Hell yeah. This is... anyone familiar with Ultraman who might go, oh, I'll listen to this Ultraman podcast, and finding out we got this secret headcanon punished E-Day shit going on. What the fuck happened in their Ultraman series?
This is why you gotta follow the podcast lore.
Yeah.
Do we have production notes for this episode?
Yes, we do, and in fact, I'm extremely owned because when we were just discussing, it was episode 7, the last one Ishiro Honda directed.
Yeah.
I should have scrolled down because he also directed
Yeah,
episode
sorry.
9.
When I said that, I was conflating Honda with Uehara for the writing.
Oh,
so that was my
okay.
brain. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I mean, Uehara is.
We have a important and new writer, Masaru Igami.
Mm-hmm.
So, he spent a lot of time in the TV industry and is primarily remembered today as a Kamen Rider writer.
Oh,
Kamen Rider writer.
I was gonna say. I assume you don't mean on the bike.
No. In 1962, he wrote for a show called Secret Swordsman. This was a massively popular historical drama show / like ninja action thing, which resulted in a short-lived TV ninja boom. He wrote for many other ninja-themed TV shows, and like was kind of known for having just like a unique style. This was kind of hard to have translated, but like apparently he had very strong feelings about like ninjutsu and like developing secret techniques and like, you know, dividing things through like heavenly and earthly technique, like all that sort of stuff or whatever. And like that kind of shown up, like that stuff was presented throughout his works, and people kind of got to know him because of all of his work doing the prolific TV ninja stuff.
I hope he got to see Naruto.
Oh, it is interesting.
He did not. He died in
Fuck.
91. But Red, it is funny you say that because as soon as I read all this stuff, I was like, I wonder how much Kishimoto was like drawing from that stuff, and just nobody in the West really know. You know what I mean? Because like there was a lot of talk of ninjutsu and special techniques and like elemental stuff, and I was like, this sounds really Naruto
in Naruto the ninja are Pokemon, which there are 5 elements and they're all born with natures.
So I thought that was fun, but he kind of had like a swing in his career when he was then asked to write for Toei's Giant Robo. Of his time there, it was stated that he specifically, when thinking of like the monsters and the enemy designs, he would go on to kind of have like develop some ideas and stylistic elements that he would then go on to fully flesh out in Kamen Rider. Like for him, his work on Giant Robo would then be expanded upon when he got to finally work on Kamen Rider and do the stories there, which I thought was interesting because I wouldn't have thought, you know, of that much of a connection between the two. I say as someone who could probably watch more Giant Robo. But in 1971, cut to the present of our show's coverage, he was writing simultaneously for the original Kamen Rider and Return of Ultraman.
Hell yeah.
He would then go on to write for many more Kamen Rider shows, and like I said, he's primarily remembered for that work today. He's often credited for being the guy who developed the hit character of Tobei Tachibana for Kamen Rider, because it was his input that got that character to appear in the show the way he did. He strongly believed that the show needed an authoritative adult figure who could scold the protagonist from time to time, while also providing him with fatherly advice.
I was going to say, Tachibana is the guy with the pipe. It's Matsumoto, right? Yeah.
Yes. And thank fuck, because Tachibana's standout character.
He
Kamen
rules.
Rider. So, yes. I forgot to write this down, but something else that should be noted, his style of portraying enemies and enemy organizations was very influential in tokusatsu and also just like Japanese pop culture moving forward. He was the guy that thought of the setup of, we're going to have an enemy of the week, and then above that we're going to have a middle manager that will be the primary antagonist for a few episodes, putting them together into an arc, and then there's a leader of the organization that we take out.
My man invented Precure and you never got to see it.
Yeah.
But he was very big on like making sure that the enemy organizations felt like they had a hierarchy, because he believed it was like integral to like making it feel like the protagonist was progressing through a series of villains, and it wasn't just like, you know, oh, there's a new thing to beat up every week. He wanted that progression, or that sense that like our hero is dismantling something that seems so complex and convoluted.
It's a great formula for Monster of the Week TV. because it's
Yes.
it like reduce it like kind of it reduces the problem of, you know, when the plot shows up, it interrupts the fun of, you know, the show.
His other notable toku work includes Giant Robot Red Baron, which I have a DVD
I have
of by
heard
my side.
that fucking rules.
I've never heard of it.
Oh, I think
fuck, maybe I
no.
should put
Hang
this
on,
DVD
maybe
in.
hang on. Giant, what is Giant Robot Red Baron? Let me just.
I believe Red Baron is different from Giant Robo. Well, Giant Robot Red
that's what I'm
Baron
saying,
is the
Giant
name of the
Robot Red
show.
Baron.
Yes.
I think this is the.
I'm getting Super Robot.
Oh, I'm not sure if this is actually the thing that I was thinking of. It might be. It might not be.
Okay.
I don't know. Oh well.
But then, where was I? Yes, also worked on Android Kakaider and Robot Detective.
Okay.
Which, you know, if you've seen Shin Kamen Rider, you've seen a little bit of that character.
Kakaider is a important
Yeah,
one.
people like Kakaider a lot. I saw a clip of the movie about the anti-hero whatever.
Oh, Hakaider. That movie was written by Inoue and it's fun.
Yeah, I saw a clip of that. It was sick.
So, he also dabbled in anime, writing for the original adaptation of Cyborg 009. And do people say 009 or 009 for that?
Which one?
Cyborg 009.
I think it's 009.
Okay, that's what I think too. 009 sounds wrong. I think that's maybe Gundam brained. And also wrote some episodes for Brave Raideen. So,
Oh, nice.
rubbing up against our friend Tomino there. Igami was known as a hit maker and a trendsetter, and because of this, he was highly sought after by TV producers in the 60s and the 70s. Fucking everybody asked him to write for their show. However, he was also infamously an inconsistent writer time-wise. Some people noted, like, if he really felt passionate about something, he could crack out a script in, like, record time. There was an anecdote from someone, I can't remember who, but, like, he said, like, one time he sat down at a cafe with him and he just watched him just write through an entire script for like an episode, and he was like, holy shit. But then also too, it became common knowledge in the TV industry that if you ever needed him to do revisions, or there was an element of the script that needed to be changed, you were not getting that script back by the deadline, and he would tell you, oh, sorry, I just have writer's block right now. He fucking slammed on the brakes as soon as anything that was different from the original needed to be changed. He really did not like doing the editing process and all that stuff. He also felt an immense amount of pressure because everyone's like, you're the guy, you make all the hits. Like, you know, you wrote some of the like most influential like TV episodes of Kamen Rider, and you know, basically made a whole pop culture boom in TV with the ninja stuff. And this pressure only got worse over time. And obviously, with so many people wanting him working on their shows, he was very successful, but also very busy. But he would then also eventually stop writing in the 70s, and he just basically said, I can't come up with ideas anymore. But then also it should be noted in parallel with this, he struggled with alcoholism periodically throughout his life, and there was a few different people that were like, he would just show up to work drunk, or he would show up to work with alcohol and just start drinking and be drunk by the end of the day. There's a few times where it looks like he quit and, you know, was going through the rehab process on that, but then slipped back into it. Towards the end there of his career in the 70s, apparently it was just severely, like, crisis, like, you're drinking all the time, and it was a problem, really detrimental to his writing ability, and it just continued until he died young in 1991.
Rip.
So he was remembered and looked up to by many in the industry, and frequently praised just as a person. He apparently had a very pleasant personality. However, people did note in memoirs and just like looking back on the time, his tendency to be late was often the source of problems for a lot of the productions that he was a part of, and it often caused issues for the people around him that he was collaborating with. It should be noted, Igami, his surname, is a pen name. His real name is Masaru Inoue, a family name that you may recognize, as he is the father of Toshiki Inoue.
What? Oh, shit!
Him? I knew that Toshiki Inoue's dad was like an important original Kamen Rider writer, but I didn't know it was this guy.
Damn.
Yes. I found some stuff here and there about Inoue talking about his dad, and it sounds like he has a lot of respect for him as a writer, but also too is very open about the fact like he was a flawed person. I found a quote that I could not track down again, just because obviously there's a lot of stuff written about both, Inoue and also Igami. But I remember seeing a quote that was something like, people liked him, but he didn't really have friends. Like, he never hung out with people. He never really, like, invited guests over. And...
Oh, that's me for real.
Apparently, Inoue was kind of like, that always just felt a little sad to me. But then also, when reflecting on his father's writing career, he said that it was like a firework. It didn't last long, but it was like brilliant and bright and made an impact on everyone who was there to experience it, which I was like, oh, that's kind of sad, but a nice thing to say about your dad's work.
Yeah.
So yeah. Interesting stuff. When you said that thing about like, oh yeah, Inoue wrote that, I was like, that makes sense.
You know what? I feel like he's earned it.
He's earned it.
Yeah.
Just a note, when you said he was notable for like ninja stuff early on, it made me go check, and he also was the head writer for a Toei ninja themed tokushow Henshin Ninja Arashi, which is 1972.
Nice.
Also an Ishinomori joint.
Sick.
And originally in earlier pre-production, it was like Kamen Rider Hibiki could have been a Henshin Ninja Arashi show instead of a Kamen Rider show, though like pretty early in development. It switched gears to becoming like a Kamen Rider show, but like also Hibiki's absolutely the sort of like, traditional Japan kind of vibes with like the Oni themed writers kind of thing. So, you can see sort of the influence in that. And also apparently like, seems like the mask of the Henshin Arashi hero face is pretty influential on things, but also just a note that kind of hit me during this last episode. Just speaking of Android Kakaider, Shinsuke Ikeda, which is a Minami's actor, would also play the protagonist of Kakaider 01.
Oh, cool.
I kind of realized, oh yeah, I know his face from a different thing, which I haven't seen, but like I've seen screenshots of. But yeah.
Sick. All right. Well, do we have anything more to say about episode 9 of Return of Ultraman?
No, it's a good one.
Yeah.
Do we have color timers for these 3 episodes?
We do. Let me go back to the screenshot. Spreadsheet.
We on that 3-minute limit. I remember last week they broke it in a very creative way.
Yeah. Well, not really.
They didn't have to break it, but they did.
Yeah. And there was a bunch of crimes last week. But anyway, episode 7, 2 minutes 13 seconds. Episode 8, 2 minutes 38 seconds. And episode 9, 3 minutes 8 seconds.
Cutting it close.
No, it's
over. Wait, no, it's over. For some reason I thought it was 3:30, but no, it is 3 minutes.
One strike. Well, I guess second strike.
No. Yeah, second strikes. There's 2 strikes. There was an over 3 minutes last week too.
Now, did you subtract the time when he was doing his Mind Palace equations, though? No.
But that was the one that was still within time.
Yeah.
The one that was like 3 minutes was when the island was exploding, and he was just like, he took too much longer with those dreads. he was trying to farm Monster Hunter material. He
was trying to get materials so he could make that fucking switch axe. All right. Well, sick. Unless we have anything more to say about Ultraman, that might be an episode.
Yep.
I think that's
Sick.
an episode. This show continues to be a treat every week.
It does. I'm looking forward to more. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can do so at ultra_q. That is at ultra_QUEUE. I am also on Twitter. I'm at gender_redacted. Mel.
You can follow me at Duke Rounds on Twitter and Blue Sky. We got the email ultrapod@gmail.com. Ultrafund is where you'd get the coffee. Razin.
You can find me in the woods being invisible and nocturnal at Rasenbran. That's RASENBRAN. I'm on YouTube. I'm going to be continuing with the uploads for Elden Ring, and I don't think I'm going to get that done by the end of the year, but hopefully by the end of January it should be done.
All right.
F.
Good luck.
Thank you.
And that's an episode. Join us next week for 3 more episodes of Return of Ultraman. That is 10, 11, and 12. That's it. End of the podcast. Once again, I've forgotten how to end a podcast. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Take it away with a wub-a-dub-dub.
One